So in this week's sound bite, I want to talk about VTF and going low with it. Cartridge manufacturers always specify an optimal range, high and low, for what users of their cartridges should operate their vertical tracking force at. And certainly, I can't think of a single example where you should be going higher than what they ask for. And if you do feel tempted to, almost certainly your tone arm is out of control, either with its static frictional forces or horizontal torque forces. But that's what the Wally skater is for. We've done plenty of videos about that. Most people, I think, generally go for the middle of the range and are happy there. But I've got a hypothesis that I've been working out for a long time. I just want to share it with you. And I don't have any proof for this other than a couple, I suppose, conversations I've had with some cartridge manufacturers. That cartridge manufacturers in general state their vertical tracking force ranges a bit higher than they need to because, well, they expect that most users of their cartridges will not have their tone arms properly under control. Again, static forces and out of control horizontal torque forces. When the tone arm isn't in control, and when that stylus and cantilever assembly is optimally oriented in the groove, I have found, and I recommend this to my clients who get their cartridge analyzed and corrected by us here at WAM Engineering, to experiment with going with lower and lower vertical tracking forces. I instruct them to lower the tracking force by 0.1 gram at a time. Listen. If they feel that the sound is improved, do it again. Go down another 0.1 grams. And of course, you have to reset your anti-skating as you do so, because anti-skating is always applied as a percentage of your VTF. I have multiple clients who have found happiness more than 30% below the manufacturer recommended vertical tracking force. Having lower tracking force has a number of advantages. Certainly one, of course, is decreased stylus and groove wear over time. But furthermore, because skating force is largely a function of friction, where there is a higher maximum and minimum skating force, then that means that the cartridge damper will spend a greater amount of its time being more severely asymmetrically compressed versus how it would have been able to behave if the minimum and maximum skating forces were a smaller range. So that's one very good reason to go with a lower vertical tracking force. The other, I'm sure, and I think this merits a lot more further study, is less groove deformation. If there's less force over the same amount of contact area between the stylus and the groove, there's simply going to be less deformation of the material, the undulations in the record groove. I love to hear from clients who have had their cartridges analyzed about where they end up with their vertical tracking force. But pretty uniformly now, what I've been hearing back from them is that they are a good deal either at very minimum tracking force recommended by manufacturer or a good deal below it. I encourage all of my clients who have had their cartridges analyzed here at WAM Engineering to experiment with very low tracking forces, irrespective of cartridge manufacturer recommendation, because I know that they will have that tone arm in proper control, because they've used the Wally skater, and because I know that that stylus will be optimally oriented into the groove. If you watch our videos on zenith error, you will see how having the presence of zenith error as a fine line contact stylus courses through the groove increases the probability of mistracking because it creates new upward vector forces. So there's this week's soundbite. See you next week with another.